Tutankhamun, or better known as King Tut, is an 18th dynasty pharaoh who inherited the throne at a young age. Though his reign was short-lived, he remained one of Egypt's most and greatest icons. He continues to hold the world's fascination, and yet he still continues to puzzle the world's leading experts. To shed light and mark the anniversary of the discovery of the tomb of King Tut, we have with us in the studio Mr. Bسام الشماع, the Egyptologist and lecturer in Egyptology. Hello, Mr. Bسام, and thank you for joining us.
Hello to you, and thank you for having me.
Good morning, sir. And as I've told you before, I dreamt of the mummies last time, as you've told me. And you insisted on us playing this music. Would you like to elaborate? Because we ourselves don't know.
Actually, this is amazing. What you just heard, and what just the world heard, is an out-of-this-world experience that took place in 1939. 1939 AD. And I have to say here AD because we are going to be talking BC today a lot. As a matter of fact, we always talk BC.
We always talk
BC, right? What happened is this. The excavation, the first day, the first step leading to the staircase, the carved staircase into the tomb of King Tutankhamun.
Oh my
and
God.
this is
Every time
the only way you can pronounce the name right.
Way.
There is nothing called Tut. There is nothing called this Tut. No, it's Tutankhamun. It's just like when you want to call me, hello, good morning, Mr. B, and you stop.
Okay.
It's exactly like that. The name is Bسام, not B. So it's like, you say Tut, it's like B. No, you have to say Tutankhamun. There is nothing called Amun. There is nothing in hieroglyphs called Amun. This is not a message to you only, guys. This is a message to the world. There is no W in the hieroglyphic cartouche. So the first step, and it was told that it was the water boy who excavated that by chance. And he found the step, and he went to his Rais, and the Rais told him, wow, and they ran to Howard Carter, who was not there originally. So to talk about the excavation, if that traditional story is true, not documented, but told by word of mouth, that kid that we don't know his name and we don't know his history, unfortunately, to be honored by everybody, he was the first person to find the first step. Anyway, that first step was the 4th of November, 1922.
Okay.
Okay? Beware, because 1822, 100 years precisely before that step was found in the Valley of the Kings, West Bank, Luxor, was the translation, if you would like, interpretation. The better word is deciphering of some of the hieroglyphics by Champollion using the Rosetta Stela.
Okay.
So 1822, the decipherment of some of the characters and hieroglyphs. 1922, the excavation of every 100 years something happened. I wonder 2022 what's going to happen. But
I hope something
is going to happen. 4th of November was the beginning. They went in and they decided to work on the tomb and find and open doors and so on and so forth. One of the things which were excavated on the floor like that, with rubble and everything, were 2 trumpets. One bronze, they called covered, and the other one is silver. So they took it, they studied it among the more than 4,000 pieces of items found in the very small tomb. We're talking about one of 3 or 4 small tombs in the Valley of the Kings. Hatshepsut's tomb, carved in the mountain, 214 meters deep. 214 meters deep. This one, we are not talking more than 80 square meters around the area.
As if it was rushed?
Yes. And it was not his originally, because he died 18.
So he borrowed someone's tomb?
He was given the tomb of, one of the theories says that he was given the tomb of the general of the army, E. That's his name. Named in the books I. But his original name in hieroglyphics is E, and actually it's painted on the wall with him in the tomb, which is amazing because we don't have 2 pharaohs same time, same place, while E was not a pharaoh at that time. He was still
just a general.
One of the priests, one of the generals, one of this. So they took the trumpets, they studied it, and in 1939, the BBC guys wanted to convince the Egyptian Museum authorities to play the trumpets. To play the trumpets which were buried 1323 BC.
Oh my God.
To play it 1939 AD. They tried that in front of King Farouk, and it broke.
Of course.
Oh.
So they fixed it because of the mouthpiece. You know, on the trumpets there is something called the mouthpiece.
Yes.
So it seems that the mouthpiece with the trumpet didn't work and it broke. And then they tried it again. We are talking millions of people will be listening to this on the BBC in England at that time. So we're talking 150 at least.
So that's the sound we were listening.
And these attempts were successful. The interesting stuff is that what you heard, they actually played both. So what you heard was the first one. So they played the bronze copper one, they played the silver one. And both worked, and worked fantastically. So if we'd like to...
Yeah, we're going to actually, as
Yeah.
you just said, Rais is insisting that we listen to it.
Oh yes, I'm with her. The black and white picture on your right, this one, I brought it to you because you can see James Tappern, this very lucky gentleman, and he, as you know, they were soldiers in the British Army.
Yeah.
And he's playing it in front of one of the box shrines of Tutankhamun in the Egyptian Museum. Same place, same item that you can see.
Yeah, and let's listen to some of the music.
So this is the trumpet.
Mr. Bassam, we always hear stories about the boy king who died early, and his death remains a mystery until this moment. Can you tell us more about the death and the mysterious death actually of King Tutankhamun?
Tutankhamun. I'll tell you that the life of this young gentleman, the golden boy as we'd like to call him in ancient Egypt, and the excavation of his tomb, both of them ignited fire in the bellies of historians and ancient Egyptians.
Yeah. Why?
He took the power He took the power when he was only 8 years of age. And he died 18. So he ruled about 10 years. He was married probably around 10. So the gentleman had this history. And then the death, starting by the theory that he fell off his chariot wheel and he hit his head. That's one theory. And I, with all due respect to the people who said this theory, disagree totally with it. And that's for a very long lecture. We can discuss it sometime else. I believe he was assassinated, but that's my own personal point of view. He was killed and he was assassinated. And what do I depend upon? A lesion on the cheek of the mummy of the king. And that means there was a wound which was on its way to heal. So it seems that Tutankhamun actually died a painful death.
Oh my God.
He is not the only king who would have died being killed, because we have the martyr Siqnen Rata'a II, who was killed by axes hit on his head during the Hyksos battles. We have Teti, who was to be killed by his guardian, by his personal guards, and so on. So this business of assassinations took place very little, but it took place. Not regularly, but it took place.
But he was killed during a battle?
No, he was killed by through a conspiracy, as I thought. This conspiracy was to put him aside and get somebody else on the top of the throne, surmounting the throne. A message which was sent by a lady in ancient Egypt with no signature. The signature part of the message is gone. So we do not know who was sending this message, but the message is the most amazing. It's very summarized, and it's very important and crucial to study. My husband is dead. I have no children. The coming words are the only words uttered by a queen in our ancient Egyptian and modern history. I am scared.
Oh my God.
This sentence is turning the whole world of Egyptology upside down. Who, from the 18th dynasty, And that is the most important dynasty in our ancient Egyptian history because it included Jahotmes III, which we call Tutmosis III. It's considered Hatshepsut, Tutankhamun, Nefertiti, Akhenaten,
The most famous pharaohs.
The most famous ones of all. The biggies. The high wigs of everybody. Right? Exactly. So those are the people who really wrote that history of this dynasty. So if I come to this dynasty and say, who was the queen who those three features would be applied on her? So who's the queen who lost her husband? Who's the queen who had no children? And who's the queen who
was scared?
Of course, we will never know the third one because we cannot like jump into the feeling of people thousands of years ago. But at least we know that the wife of Tutankhamun, remember, she was older than him.
Yes.
She was older than him. So, did they bring children? Those two kids' mummies, which were found in the tomb, were they the kids of Tutankhamun and his wife Tutankhamun, or what? Or what? Here is a question mark. They said that the blood group of the small young mummies in the tomb actually is equal
to his
and
blood.
resembling to the Tutankhamun, but that's not enough to prove that these were the kids, the real kids from that lady. So what are we after now? We're after this lady. Was the queen of Tutankhamun, the lady who sent that message, did she actually ask the king of the Hittites Hittites were the enemies. She's sending a message to the enemies to tell them, send me your son. I know you have many sons, she says, in another part of the letter. Bring him, and I shall marry him, put him on the throne of Egypt. What?
Then she was obviously fighting an internal battle.
Exactly, well said. You see, that's how Egyptology works. You have to utilize things. So now we are in front of an amazing case. An Egyptian lady who loves Egypt, but there is something happening in the court of the palace that forced her to go to the enemy, which is, this is not only a conspiracy, this is treason. This is mere, sheer, gigantic treason to bring him. And he was not convinced. The king of the Hittites said, that's a conspiracy to kill my son.
Yes, you're trying.
You're trying to drag my son into Egypt and then kill him. Well, she sent another letter. What do you think? If I have sons, I wouldn't marry your son. I am asking you to send me your son. She's trying to be here forceful. So she's forcing the guy to come. He got convinced. King of the Hittites got convinced.
But in Egyptology, I assume that it was fine for her to be a woman queen by herself and be able...
Only in very few, 7 cases in our history. And you need your high priests to be supporting you. She didn't have the high priest support.
Maybe the high priests were the ones causing the battle.
See, that's how you work.
Too good.
She's Dr. Mrs.
Doctor.
All right? So this is how it works. Well, finally, to cut that drama at the end, you know, the grand le femme at the end of the movie, the king would have sent his son, and he sent the son.
He did send.
But the general of the Egyptian army didn't want this to happen. So he ran to send a huge platoon to Sinai, met the platoon, which was protecting the son of the king of the Hittites, and killed the prince, which made the king of the Hittites so angry that he wanted to invade Egypt.
Of course.
Yeah, he actually prepared an army to invade Egypt, but he never did.
Why?
He did another question mark. Maybe he was busy doing something else with his army, because that place was like fire all the time up there in Asia. So this is an amazing young man who his golden mask is still puzzling everybody. As a matter of fact, if you look at the features, the facial features of the golden mask in the Egyptian Museum, in Tahrir Square, it is not similar to his face. And some people believe that, I mean, lots of surprises, this man.
Especially with...
and to tell you the truth, this business of bringing Tutankhamun out, put him in a glass case. I mean, that happened in the past. Why are you doing this? I mean, the guy was in his tomb forever, since he died 1323, inside his coffin. Not only one, but 3. One inside the other, inside the third. One of them is pure, one of the coffins of Tutankhamun
is
110.4 kilograms of pure gold.
Oh, wow.
110.4 kilograms of pure gold. One of his coffins. Like Russian dolls, one inside the other.
Where are these coffins?
These are now between the Egyptian Museum. We have 2 big ones in the Egyptian Museum, and the third is in the tomb number 62. They call it tomb 62, tomb of Tutankhamun. But the final question is,
And they're all in
why
Egypt.
did it take Howard Carter and the Egyptians and everybody all these years to find the tomb? What is so hard about this tomb to be found? It's in the Valley of the Kings. It's actually at the end, not few steps away from the entrance. So why? Because there was an entrance of a tomb
Another one?
over. Yes, Ramesses the sixth, not the second that you know about. The sixth. You're gonna ask me how many Ramesses were there then? 11.
Okay.
There were 11
Lovely.
Ramesses who ruled Egypt. All right. So that entrance was right over the body. Also, there was a drainage water canal made by the ancient Egyptians to get rid of rain. So the rain would get into the canal, bring the mud and bring the sand and bring the debris, and it will cover the tomb of Tutankhamun one level after
Even
the
better.
other. Those
So
two
it's like he
major
was
reasons.
constantly being buried.
Exactly. So those two major reasons why it took him
So long.
3 seasons, and the 4th season, the step was found by the water boy.
Mr. Bassam, we are now seeing on the screen also another
This is a
photo.
sad picture.
Can you tell
This
us
is
more
a picture
about
I
this?
brought you, and every time you take a look at picture, you guys have got to weep when you see a picture like this. I see you are not weeping, but that's fine.
I'm not. I dreamt of mummies. Okay, I have carte blanche. I've done my part.
You've done your part. This is actually what you're looking at is what happened on the 28th of January 2011.
Oh.
When the Egyptian Museum was entered and lots of things were destroyed.
Lots of things were
Oh
destroyed.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
What do
They
you mean by
repaired
lots?
some. You can go and visit the repaired parts now. They put it in a chamber today for you to visit in the Egyptian Museum. They've done a marvelous job. And things were looted. Now, if you please bring us back the picture on the screen, I will
It's
show
still
you
on
something.
the screen. It's on the
Like
screen.
in a full screen, if you like, please do.
Can we-
You will find,
Yeah.
thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am. You can see the trumpet that we are talking about.
The one that was
Alright.
played with.
See? Now, you're going to ask me a question. Is this the $6 million question or what? Where is the second one?
Yes, where is the second one?
$6 million question. The second one was looted.
Oh my God.
Oh,
And we were so sad that this particular piece was looted. I mean,
The
we're
one that
sad-
was
we're sad
played?
everything was, but
the one that wasn't broken ever?
and both of them were played, as you remember.
But one of them
Interesting
didn't break.
thing, It was excavated. It was found. It was found in the most mysterious case. In a bag, the trumpet, the lost, looted trumpet, was found. Somebody decided to return, put it in a bag with 3 other pieces of the looted items in an underground metro in Cairo. Hello? Why would you like to do something like that?
But it's
Another
good
mystery
news,
added to
it's good news.
Tutankhamun.
So somebody decided,
news.
so somebody
We're happy.
felt bad halfway and then decided to return it?
You are a
We
good,
decided
you're a
listen
good
to the
person.
music.
You're a good
Or you
person to
couldn't
think
sell
this
it?
way.
Maybe you realized you couldn't sell it.
You're a good person to think this way, but there must be.
Were
I believe
many
in the
pieces
conspiracy theory.
looted?
Oh yes. Until today, I'm a
Was
believer in
this
the
an
conspiracy
army?
theory.
Was this an army? An army horn? Was it like for
Oh yes,
calling?
it is a military. And
So it belonged to the general, not to the.
no, it belonged to Tutankhamun because his name is on it, and
Okay.
his designs are on it, and you'll be amazed to know that the deities on the trumpet are the deities of war, the gods of war, the mythological gods of war. So from there we knew that that was the trumpet of the military marches and the military action.
Mr. Bassam الشماع, our Egyptologist, it's always a pleasure to have you with us in the breakfast show.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our show. I had many more questions, but unfortunately, this is the end.
Thank you,
very
Rahma.
much, Maisie.
Thank you, and thank you our dear viewers, and have a very good morning, and we leave you with the music, the sound of the horn.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.